Thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Old Code Podcast. This is mostly a housekeeping episode, so it's probably going to be pretty brief. But for longtime listeners, I have some updates. And for new listeners, maybe some incentive to keep on listening. So I am currently working my way through my master's degree, master's in theology. And I work a full-time job, and so I have a great deal on my plate. The podcast started off as an outlet for me to be able to communicate the ideas that I was thinking about, help me to decompress. But as the weeks and months have gone on, I feel like I have been pushing the limit of what I'm actually capable of doing and doing well. So I will be dropping down from 2 episodes per week to just 1, and the goal of this is to be able to more effectively communicate. The goal of this is to be able to plan a little bit better, and hopefully I'll be able to put out a little bit higher quality materials. The past, I want to say 3 or 4, have been drawing on personal experience. They've been drawing on ideas that I've been thinking about, but I would like to be able to give more resources. I'd like to give more sources and citations and just better thought out episodes. So that's pretty much it as far as housekeeping goes. Keep on listening, keep on tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. As a follow-up to that, with the move into 1 episode per week, I'm transitioning less on meditations and ruminations and more so into I'm going to try out for a little bit summarizing historical philosophies, and that's mostly so that we can start also laying out groundwork for how to start properly and critically appropriating certain historical and pagan philosophies into our own systems of thought. So I'm planning on doing Socratic and Platonic ideologies, and then Aristotelian, and then after that Stoic philosophies. I don't really have much interest in detailing the Epicureans. I don't have much interest in detailing skepticism, but Platonism, Neoplatonism, Aristotelian categories, Stoicism, those have always kind of been my wheelhouse as far as Western classical philosophies go. So if you're interested in learning more about those ideas and those episodes, please feel free to subscribe and tune in the future. Moving on after that, I'd like to be able to give a brief summary of early church philosophies, early church theology, early church history, all of that. Really, I find that it is heartily encouraging, especially as Christians, when we explore not only our recent history, but our ancient history, in remembering that the church which was started by Christ extends 2,000 years back. And so being able to go over church history, being able to explore early church writers, I find that period of time very, very interesting, if I do say so. I find it very interesting, and I think that it's something that we kind of glaze over. A great example of something that I think we glaze over, that I was reading the other night, a letter from Ignatius to John, the presbyter, actually. And he was writing about how he longed to meet James, the elder, James, the brother of Jesus. And he said, I find it he was basically saying how remarkable the opportunity would be, because from everything that he had heard, it would basically be like seeing Christ himself, because the likeness was so uncanny. And the recollection that we have these writings of these ancient men who lived so close to the time of Jesus that they were able to meet James, that they were able to have this correspondence with John, that they longed to meet Mary, mother of Jesus. I find that this is so encouraging when I'm thinking about not only the fact that we have Scripture as our foundation for our religion, but the fact that we had these men who were writing in such close proximity to the lives of the apostles. So that is the next step of this podcast, would be exploring out the classical period, classical philosophies, particularly in Western culture, and then tracing out church history, particularly ancient and early church history. And then we can start doing profiles of other pagans, not only pagans, but individuals within the church. And as another teaser to that, I would give you my favorite story from one of my favorite saints of early church history. And if I'm remembering correctly, his name was Saint Lawrence. He's patron saint of barbecues and comedians, who, according to church tradition, when he was being burned alive on a spit, he cried out, "Turn me over, I'm done on this side." So I absolutely love that story, and I think that it's hilarious in a very, very morbid sense, but it's the recollection that we have a joy and we can take things not quite so seriously because we have a glory that is to come that is greater than any pain that we are currently experiencing. So, in profiling pagans and Christian leaders, we can start to understand and tease out ideas and just concepts that really defined these men. We might go back a little bit further here and there into men like Alexander the Great, men like Marcus Aurelius, in order to understand what made these great rulers and great leaders tick. So that's the basic idea. And then theoretically, we can also start getting into a little bit more the medieval era. We can start getting more into the pre-modern era, I should say, and then some of the thinkers, I would say, which were most influential in modernity. So this is kind of a roadmap for moving forward. I still have things that I'd like to cover, but I'd like to give myself a little bit more time to digest certain things that I'm learning, certain things that I'm reading, and certain things that I'm meditating on. And so an easier way to do that, or to give myself time to do that, is by summarizing classical thought, by summarizing early church thought, and by summarizing profiles of great men over the course of history. That's the basic rundown. This is effectively a teaser for the next probably 3 or 4 months worth of material. And really one of the big things that I'm trying to do in cutting back on these episodes is I've always hated the term content in association with publishing materials on the internet. I hate the fact that content is just something that fills up a place. It's just, you've got an empty room and now you've got it filled, and that's the contents of the room. I hate that because it excludes art and philosophy and literature. These are not content. These are art, philosophy, and literature. So if I am going to do anything on the internet, I don't just want it to be one more thing among other things. I want it to be a true expression of meditation. I want it to be a true expression of philosophy. I want it to be beautiful, and I want it to be well thought out. So that's one of the primary reasons why I'm dropping down, is because I have too much on my plate to be thinking through deep concepts and pumping out as much material over the course of a week. So I really want to give you guys quality over quantity, and if I have to drop down to one episode every 2 weeks in order to make sure that I'm giving you the best that I can give, then that is what will have to take place. So as per usual, a couple reminders as far as these things go. I do have a Patreon, so there's that. If you feel a desire to help support the podcast, if you desire, I also have a YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to that. It helps more people to discover the podcast. And also, I am open to hearing your suggestions with the frequency dropping down to once per week. I'm probably going to be still publishing either Thursday or Friday. With the frequency dropping down, I may insert visuals. I may try to throw in pictures or quotes for the actual video itself. I'm open to suggestions, and I would like to hear your thoughts. That's really all I have for you today. No more housekeeping, and this has really just been a housekeeping episode and a bit of a teaser moving forward. So, I'm your host, the Professor, and I am really grateful to be able to do this and have a class as amazing as you. So, thank you again. And this has been the Old Code Podcast, episode 30. Last piece to say would be that starting Monday, or starting this next week, I will only be doing once per week. So don't expect a Monday episode. I'm sure that there will be a Thursday or a Friday episode, but yeah, so look forward to that. Put it on your calendar, all of that, if people have calendars anymore. But that's really all I have for you for real this time. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will catch you next Friday.